What's up guys, this is Cody here, and as you guys know, the new iPhone 7 is coming out this year. If you didn't know that, I'm gonna smack you in your face with my fist. I'm gonna smack fist you. And today I'm gonna be going over the wish list, or what I wanna see in the iPhone 7. So of course this is going to be a big jump from the 6S to the 7, rather than an S upgrade like we normally see every other year. So these are a whole lot more exciting to me just because usually it's not all internals. It's like form factor. They'll usually change that up in the big upgrade. So from like the 5 to the 6 or the 6 to the 7. So hopefully we're going to see something in that respect as well. But let's go ahead and go through this list and see what all I want to see in the 7. Now, the first thing I want to see in the iPhone 7 is wireless charging. I think that would be freaking dope because you don't have to plug in your device in order to charge it anymore. Of course, that probably sounds like a hardcore first world problem, but really, I mean, it's just be really nice to have just like a wireless charging station right here on my desk. I could come home from work, put it on the wireless charging station, don't worry about having to plug it in. And even if I pick it up, you know, I don't have to unplug it if the cord's short or anything like that. I can just put it back down once I'm done. So that would be something that would be really nice. Of course, you could always get wireless charging in your car as well, which would be really cool just to be able to, you know, place that on your, you know, console somewhere and being able to charge your device as you're driving rather than having to plug it in. Next would be longer battery life. Of course, everybody wants longer battery life. Who doesn't want longer battery life? Everybody wants longer battery life. I just said it. I just gave you the answer, then I asked you, then I told you the answer again. You should have got it right. You don't ever hear anybody saying, oh gosh, my battery capacity is way too big. I wish I had to charge my device more often. Nobody's gonna say that. Now, having said that, this on the iPhone 6S Plus is not really a huge issue. Now on the 6S, I would have to say that it's definitely much more of an issue just because the battery's smaller and the battery obviously doesn't last as long as it does on the 6S Plus. But I think it would be a nice upgrade for the 6S, and you know, I'm not going to complain if I have a longer battery life than I do right now on my 6S Plus. Now, people always freak out about phones being waterproof or water resistant. This is really not something that, you know, I'm too worried about because, you know, I don't, you know, go swimming with my phone, or I don't like to talk on my phone in the rain or anything like that. But I mean, if you're like the type of person that drops your phone in the toilet like once a month, that would be pretty good for you because first of all, you probably need to like not have your phone in your toilets if you do it once a month. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your phone? Matter of fact, don't answer that. I don't want to know. Now, of course, we want to see a faster processor because that's like first and foremost baseline first upgrade in the new devices. Every single iteration needs to be faster because that's the first thing that everybody's going to do is they're going to benchmark their devices. And if it's slower or the same, it's going to be a massive disappointment to millions of people that just bought their phone and it's just the same performance that we're seeing in the previous version. So of course we're going to see faster processors, so that's going to be good. It's just a question of how much performance increase by a factor of what are we going to see in the new processor. Next, let's get rid of what these antenna bands look like on the back of the device. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's these bands right here. Now, I remember seeing these leaked for the iPhone 6 when they were first leaked, the back casing. I was like, dude, there's no way that they're gonna put those, you know, antenna bands in the back. I didn't know they were antenna bands at the time. I didn't know what they were. I just thought it was like a design thing, and I was like, dude, there's no way. Then, you know, 2 years later, here we are with these antenna bands still on here, and I just don't think they look that great. Maybe they can figure something else out in terms of design, or, you know, better technology where they don't have to have these, or just make it look better. But hopefully we're not gonna see, you know, the exact same design that we see for the antenna bands on the iPhone 7. Next, I'd like to get rid of this camera bump that we have on the back of the device. Now, this isn't a massive issue for me just because I always use cases, but for anybody that's like, you know, going bareback, then I can see this probably being an issue. But I mean, 2 years is long enough to get that figured out, I think. I mean, just make that flush. Like, we don't want a bump for the camera lens. We just don't. Also, for the love of God, let's get rid of these 16 gigabyte devices. Like, 16 gigabytes is nothing anymore. Storage is crazy cheap at this point. Let's start at least at 32 gigs. 16 gigs you can't hardly do anything with unless you're like an old person that literally just has contacts and like email. That's like basically it. If you play like even just a few games that are rather large, and with the processors that are coming out, the more the demanding the games are, so the bigger that the files of the games are. So 16 gigs is literally nothing. 32 would be definitely a much better starting point for the 16 gig and keep the same price point for the 32 gig that we have for the 16 gig. That's just my opinion. And we also would like to see probably a 256 gig model just because why the hell not? I think it'd be good. Now, I'm not a designer and I don't claim to be one by any means whatsoever, so it's really hard for me to tell you exactly what I want in terms of aesthetics and what the iPhone 7 looks like, but I can tell you that I want to see something different. You know, something like the jump from the iPhone 5S to the 6. You know, they went from those chamfered edges to the rounded edges. I mean, you can definitely tell the difference between an iPhone 5 and an iPhone 6 just from the looks of it. Now, not necessarily the screen sizes need to change, but I do want to see something, you know, that makes the iPhone 7 stand out and be its own phone rather than, you know, being, oh, is that an iPhone 6S or is that an iPhone 7 sort of thing. So I'm just going to have faith in Apple that they're going to do something like that because that would be really cool and it's something I want to see for sure. Now, if you're on a smaller form factor iPhone, then you don't have optic image stabilization, which is like such a must-have for video recording with your iPhone. So if you don't know the difference between the two, basically with optic image stabilization, it's going to smooth out the movements as you're moving and recording. When you don't have that, I mean, the video just looks terrible unless that device is stationary as you're recording. So if you don't know the difference, definitely look up a video on YouTube. I might even have one, I'm not sure. If I do, I'll link it in the description below. But it's huge, and I think the iPhone 7 definitely needs to have it, in addition also obviously to the iPhone 7 Plus. Now, last but not least, let's talk about the display. So what do we want to see in the display? Do we want 4K? I don't think I need 4K. 4K would be nice for bragging rights, but other than that, it's just straight up gonna drain your battery like crazy. Now, I haven't personally seen a 4K display on a phone, so I can't really tell you if there's a massive difference between the 4K and the 1080p. You probably or might be able to slightly tell the difference. I can't really tell you straight up just because the device or the screen size is so small that those pixels condensed, I can't tell you if you can really tell a difference between the two. Now the next thing is, do we want OLED? OLED would be really cool. Now I have 4K and OLED on my TV and it is absolutely amazing. Like I love it. But do we need it on our device? Again, I would probably say it's not necessary at this point. Now, later down the road, absolutely 4K, OLED. Now, once that stuff gets cheaper, that's probably when it's going to be integrated into the iPhone, just because OLED is crazy expensive right now. So I don't think we're going to be seeing that on the iPhone 7, and personally, that doesn't bother me. But that's all I have for this video. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it by smacking that like button. I would really appreciate it. Now, if you guys think of features or ideas that you guys want to see in the iPhone 7, let me know in the comments below because I want to check them out as well. Maybe it's something I didn't think of or something that you've seen on another device that you would like to see on the iPhone 7. So let me know again in the comments below and I'll be sure to check that out. Of course, if you ever want to see my face again, like tomorrow, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing another video and posting it up tomorrow, then be sure to hit that subscribe button right below this video. All right, guys, I will see you in the next one.